Welcome to Crowe's Guitars, welcome to the building of BoB1. Okay, this is an insane guitar, it's never been done before, and I'm really enjoying the process. In this video, I am going to be drilling truss rod access, preparing and flattening and the fretboard and the neck, and gluing it in place, installing the truss rod, etc. By the end of this video, this neck blank will be, it's not a neck blank, it's an entire body. This is going to be the whole guitar. Do not forget, you can win this guitar if you are watching this as we put the videos out. Go to crimsonguitars.com. Any order placed on our website there enters you into a competition to win the instrument, and any £10 within each of those orders is the same thing. It's an entry into the competition. But that's enough of that. Let's get started. Too warm. First things first, the other week there was a little bit of back bow in the neck, and that hasn't changed. It hasn't changed, it isn't worse. So quite frankly, I'm prepared now to move forward. There's going to be some planing. Well, so this is the question. If it takes more than light finger pressure to close the gap up, then you need to worry. If it's just light finger pressure and the joint was flat to begin with, which is the case, then the truss rod's going to take it. And actually, that's... I need to hold this up to a light. I don't need to play... we're talking about, okay, a lot of you are American, 20,000th of an inch or less, I'm guessing. That sounds impressive. Half a mil, less than half a millimeter gap, and it closes up right away with just minimal pressure. Therefore, this isn't going to affect how the guitar plays. Therefore, all I need to do is make sure that the other dimensions of the joint are perfectly flat and that my fretboard is perfectly prepared. Now, I was tempted to ask the lads downstairs, as part of the service at Crimson Guitars, we sell fretboards, we sell them bradised and slotted as well. I was going to ask them to do that because, hey, it's easier. But in the end, I thought you would probably prefer watching me, cut some fret slots by hand. So there we go. Okay, I don't need to do any planing, but what I do need to do is make sure that this is in the position that I want, and I want the attractive or the best bit of the grain on the guitar. And with Cerakote, that's really difficult to do. So I want these stripes in the board. Okay, at this stage what I need to do is cut away as much of the excess material as humanly possible, not forgetting that I do not want to cut that away. I do want to have the fretboard go longer than the edge of the neck. So, well, let's just draw that in there now. So, well, onto the bandsaw really, and yeah, let's have some fun. Well, that's rather attractive. Now, we have a couple of mil over each side. On a normal guitar, what I would do is I would glue this down as is, just in case there was any slipping involved, which isn't an issue if you've got the fret slots already. But I would leave it like so, and then just run a router along the edge of the neck to do that fairly easily. As it is, we don't have, well, a very large lip here on which to run the bearing on the router cutter. So what I'm actually going to do is plane this down by hand to width, as close as humanly possible, which should be, well, exactly right. And then we go from there. The end of the fretboard hasn't been cut as well, so that's going to need to be cut square and clean without wax on, etc. Now, there are many, many different ways and different orders in which a luthier or a craftsman can make a thing. And this is how I'm doing it today. Anyway, so, hand playing. Haha, which one shall he choose? This is my confusing number 7. I had a lovely number 7 that I had for many, many, many years. And I saw this and I thought, oh, just beautiful, 1890s or thereabouts. And it is lovely, relatively lightweight and gorgeous. The problem is, and I traded, vintagetoolshop.com is my other business, my sort of naughty secret. So I just traded it because, hey, the problem is this little knurled knob at the end here on the old ones is left-hand thread. Every other plane I've got is right-hand thread. So confusing. Okay, we're a bit squeaky. Let's get some wax. The rule when choosing a plane is, or choosing which plane to use at least, is basically it needs to be as long or longer, preferably, than the joint you're wanting to plane flat. So, you know, for a neck, a 6 or a 7 is pretty much what you have to have, or a 7 or an 8 actually, if you want it to be absolutely perfectly flat. For a body blank, a 6 will do. Although, you know, 7, king of planes. Okay, I've got that face done. Now I want to put that down on the edge of the board and work out exactly where my nut line needs to be, chop that, and then I'll plane the other face to fit. Okay, so that's ever so slightly off. I'm going to hit it with a leveling beam. Anyway, that's done. I just need a square. There we go. It isn't. So while it is parallel to where the nut needs to be, it's actually not square. But that's easy enough to sort out. Spot on. Okay, that's all square and good and dusted. I need to have a line to plane to. And for that I'm going to use my template. Now again, if I was in the mood for routers and routing and noise and dust and all of that, I would just use my template for this, really. I rarely am in the mood for that. I enjoy using hand planes and chisels and things. They're much, it's just more relaxing. Anyway, sharp knife. And that gives me a good clean line to cut to, or at least to plane to. And do you know what? I don't even trust the template. I am going to measure this and double check that we are correct. Yep. Okay, spot on. Back to the planing. Lovely. That is exactly perfect. End of the fretboard. So we have a fender scale length, 22 frets. I need to cut the end of the fretboard nearest to the nut off. There's my pencil, it's not in my pocket anymore. And that needs to be absolutely parallel to the nut, obviously, because otherwise, well, if it's only slightly off, it would look very, very off. If it was completely off, it would be a different story entirely. But anyway, I'm basically measuring to where the 23rd fret would be at 2 points, and then join that line together, and I have a cut mark. Now, when you are cutting with a fine saw, it's always a good idea to use a sharp knife to mark the line rather than just a pencil. The knife line gives you something that will actually physically help guide your saw, basically. Okay, now that I've made an almost irrevocable mark into my wood, I'm going to get another ruler and double check it. I'm paranoid like that. 477. Phew. Back to the bench hook. Now for this I'm going to use a smaller saw. I've had this saw for easily 14, 15 years now. If you look at the earlier videos, it had an old crowning file glued to the edge to keep it square. Almost ready to put in. Okay, now, truss rod is a rather important part of a guitar build. Where's that screw? But a truss rod is useless without truss rod access. So I need to drill a 7mm hole from the end of the neck down the center line, which is easy enough. So I have an angled headstock here. Design-wise and speed, do I want to do truss rod covers, or should I just have a Fender style just hole in the end? And I think I'm just going to do that actually, because why not? However, should I do it with a little rosewood fill, or for that matter, zero cote fill? This is the problem with builds. I always go a little bit insane and do things that I've either never done before or hadn't planned in the build schedule. I have some time while the fretboard is gluing on. What I'm going to do is take this offcut of zero cote. I don't have the time for the finesse of the saw. Laminate it together, glue it up, turn around on the lathe, and then we'll insert that round into the headstock and then drill through that after the fretboard's on. A little risky, but hey, what can you do? So the question really is, how big a hole do I drill now? Anything larger than 10mm would not look good. Yes, I did just throw that piece of wood on the floor. Hold on. I didn't mean to. Okay. 7mm drill bit goes back. 10mm drill bit comes out. I am using a center point drill bit here. I'm worried about it chipping this bit out here. Woo. There we go. There we go. So I've put a little bit of dust just in there, just to fill the gap. That is cool, isn't it? This has had a little while to cure. This is a stunning Fermag drill bit. The spiral though is much, wait, focus on that. There we go. It's very, very acute. So if I go through into another hole, it pulls. So I'm going to change drill bits for a more standard twist drill. Woohoo! That was well timed. All right. Well, first time for everything. Quite successful. Truss rod. Okay, so the truss rod is in. You've seen me do this already in this series, I think. I'm fairly sure. I'm filming several series at the same time at the moment. But a couple of little pieces of masking tape rolled over, sticky side up, just to stop the truss rod rattling in its channel when it's loose. And then we're done. Well, I say done. We've got a guitar to build. There we go. Okay. A lot of people don't bother putting masking tape over the truss rod channel. I was taught this way via a book, and I do still think that it is a valid thing. We don't particularly want glue gumming up the works of the truss rod, if at all possible. We're gluing a truss rod, fretboard on. Okay, now, just quickly, if this was pre-slotted, I would 100% drill locating pins through a couple of the fret slots and to make sure that it does not slip and slide in any way, shape or form. Because this is not pre-slotted, it's less important, but also more difficult to do that, because I would have to work out where the slots are pre-slot through a board that hasn't been radiused yet, which is less fun. And I'm going to just trust myself that will spot if it goes off center and move it, which is also going to be easier because I've now made the fretboard, second time I've done that, exactly the same size as the neck. So if something is off, I will see that. We use Alkaline Professional. This is a Tight Bond 50 recipe. Put a little bit too much glue on there. Okay. So, fretboard in place. I've got my nut slots, my nut position marked out carefully. And this is the scary bit. Using this is actually radiused, so it's going to push down on the edges to ensure a really good join. Radiused and corked clamping core. The problem is, doing that, you lose sight of your fretboard. And that is when it slips and slides. Although it didn't move at all. Okay, now if you have to put huge amounts of pressure onto a glue joint, you've made a mistake somewhere. That could be too much glue. It could be, well, obviously the jointing itself, or, oh, actually that does appear to have moved a little bit this way. Well, any of a number of things. I'm going to stop talking now because that does feel like it's slid just a little bit. Okay, so let's go. I got glue on my shirt. Okay. Now, those are in. I'm going to put 3 G-clamps over as well. Not absolutely necessary, but I do like spreading the pressure as evenly as possible. So you can see where I've been using my finger to see if there's any gap or any difference. Not gap. Ledge, there we go. And there isn't. So, one neck, clamped up and good to go. At this stage, the fretboard's glued in place. In the next video, I am going to, oh yeah, we've got the test. I'm going to play around with this little piece, see about bending a custom headstock using slots, and I will radius the fretboard and I will slot the fretboard. That's enough. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click and like, subscribe, comment below what you think of the build, how the series is going, and all that jazz. And subscribe. Did I say subscribe? And there's a competition currently to win the guitar. Check out the comments, the description below. See you soon. Cheers. I do like that. I like that a lot.